All right, Jason. Today we have Jason Loureiro from ADP. Jason is located in Rhode Island, and Jason handles small businesses and deals with their payroll. So, Jason, I wanted to have you on today. I've been doing these things, doing like 2 or 3 a week, and what I've been doing is trying to add value to people in similar situations to myself. Small businesses, this is a really tough time, right? So it's a hard time for anyone with a small business. And who better to speak to that than someone that works for a company that deals with their payroll? So, Jason, I'll let you kind of first lead off and say, what types of businesses you deal with and what your territory is.
Perfect. Yeah. So thanks for having me on, Kyle. I appreciate it. And so as far as territory goes, I'm not really restricted to any territory. I am located out of Warwick, Rhode Island, but I've handled some deals in Canada already, Florida, Connecticut, Massachusetts, anywhere in the Northeast, you name it, So my role within ADP is I bring on new clients in small business, so that's 1 to 49 employees, onto ADP for payroll and human resource services. So I work primarily with accounting firms in Rhode Island. I am a CPA centric, which means, I support just about 100 CPA firms in Rhode Island. I support them and their clients. So right now I've been seeing a lot of change, especially in the tax world, along with the small businesses and what CPAs are asking for along with their clients.
So change, right? I think change is a common theme right now in the country, in the world, in society, on the globe. Everywhere you go, we're all changing, right? We all have to shift. We all have to adapt. We all have to change. What does that look like? I goes crazy, right? Mm-hmm. Payroll is probably the hardest thing to keep going from a small business standpoint, and the revenue slows down. So when the revenue kind of comes in slower or less, it's hard to keep that payroll. And I've tried to keep my payroll and my staff working and really just working harder to keep them going. Right? So I'm doing more on my end to make sure I can keep these guys working and keep everything going. So what are you seeing out there as far as either furloughs or people getting laid off? Like, how much of your book of business has been laid off?
So a good amount, I would say, and it's really specific to the industry that these small businesses are within, right? So, for example, I have some tradesmen that are still working, that are still, continuing with their guides on payroll, such as landscape, construction, things of that nature. And then I have other clients, such as cleaning companies or gyms, right, that have closed down due to what's going on in this state and in Massachusetts. So in that regard, what ADP is doing, right, we're maintaining their account active, but we are making sure, that they're not getting charged any fees, and we're making sure that their account still stays in compliance. With that being said, there's some great alternatives right now that small business owners can, utilize to keep that payroll, to keep people on their payroll, such as the PPP loan. So I have seen some clients already start applying for that, many clients actually. And that right there is to make sure you can keep those workers on your payroll instead of putting them on unemployment.
So you say, obviously you've seen a lot of people apply. I'm going to even go one step higher on that. What I've actually heard, and I spoke to a couple of folks on my end, is that the funding is gone. They don't even have the funds anymore. So if you don't have an application in, if your application hasn't been approved, if you're not in the game, you're not a player. Like right now, if you're not applied, you're not going to get those funds unless they put out another stimulus package with more funds. You're just not going to get it.
Yeah. So from what I've heard the same thing. Even just this morning, I saw an article that, it's all out of funds, right? But that's more on the banking side of things. What I can say is that this is, a great reason for why people should outsource their payroll, right? And why they should outsource their human resource services. So anyone, I have many clients and CPAs that already have reached out to me, got the reports, and they've been filing, since April 3rd, the first day that they could apply for the loan. So, and they are those kind of clients and small businesses who are ahead of the game and stay on top of those things, right? We kind of you know, ADP does more than just payroll. We kind of just put it in that bucket. But what we do really is help everyone, right, with their human capital management, right? And that's handling how they can stay compliant, also with helping their employees and keeping them engaged, keeping them employed, and getting them paid, right? That's ultimately what we're all doing, is trying to get paid. So um, I would say those businesses who are on top, you know, ahead of the game, those who see the value in outsourcing their payroll, they didn't miss the ball. You know, they were on top of it. And, you know, we were sending plenty of notifications out to clients on how they can pull those reports and how they can go and apply for that. So, but yeah, well, I'm not really sure what they're going to do now. Hopefully another stimulus package comes out. We'll see.
I mean, it's hard, right? How do you announce that you're going to help small businesses and the payroll protections there, right? So we're 1 month into the quarantine, and I mean, I don't know, maybe 1 to 5 people or 1 to 5 small businesses that actually got the loan and have been funded on it. So like, how can you do that? And then it's you know, you run out of funding. So for me, that's somewhat of that's frustrating, right? You send this thing out, you expect everyone to jump at it, and then by the time we figure it out, it's gone. Like,
True. Yeah, that's the thing.
I got my applications in, thankfully,
Yep.
and a lot of people I know did, but it's kind of in limbo right now. No one knows.
Oh yeah, and things were changing constantly. I believe the first day to apply was April 3rd, and on April 6th, that following Monday, things were still changing in Congress and stuff. So and even some of my CPA partners, they reach out to me, asking me questions in regards to it, because they were even uncertain on what that legislature was reading. So there was a lot of uncertainty. But still, there were people, that got ahead of the game, just like you, and hopefully, you do get, get everything processed and helped out. But I think everyone should kind of take a look at their business and speak to their tax advisor, either if they use an accountant or if any type of tax advisor or a business mentor, and they should play with some numbers and see what makes the most sense. The PPP loan doesn't make sense for everyone. The SBA loan doesn't make sense for everyone, Sometimes it might make more sense just, going through the unemployment route. That's something that employers and employees should consider and kind of work together and speak about it. Again, in the ADP side of things, we've been sending out this information to all our clients on the regulations, right? Because, like I said, not everyone should apply for that PPP loan. You have to look at those, that fine print on what you're paying out and what the payroll cost really is.
Yeah, no, I think that's smart, right? So at the end of the day, I think you need to educate, and that's the purpose of why I'm doing these things, to help people kind of get through this and figure out what's going on. As far as the PPP and the small business loan, are a lot of your clients applying for both? Where does the loan, and how do people figure out what that SBA loan amount is they should apply for? Like, how does someone know what to apply for there?
So those are all through certain channels, right? So the PPP, like I mentioned, is through financial institutions, the banks, Bank of America, Bank Newport, all those banks, community banks, and the larger ones. Now the SBA loan, you have to go through the SBA as well. So there's certain criteria that you need. I put up a good chart yesterday on my Facebook and LinkedIn that kind of goes by what you should kind of do. You have to look at the wages that someone's making, and there's certain reports that ADP has produced for our clients that can kind of navigate that conversation. It's really just a case by case kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's good, and I like to keep these somewhat short so people don't get. I want to make sure people get engaged and they stay on top of it. So, what I would say now, Jason, people always make changes when things hit the fan, right? So when, quote unquote stuff hits the fan, that's when people make changes. And I'd love to see you to kind of generate some business on helping people, right? So if you want to give all your contact info and you want to read it on the screen, I think that would be great. Maybe they can reach out to you as just another source of confidence in this tough time, and someone from your firm, maybe they were doing payroll their own, and now it makes sense for them to come in and actually have a firm like ADP handle it. So, give them your contact info. I appreciate your time. I think it's been.
Yeah, I appreciate your time, Kyle. Thanks for having me on. So you can find me on LinkedIn. First name is Jason, Jason. Last name is Loureiro. You can also email me at Jason dot, then my last name Loureiro at adp.com. Or you can just feel free to call my cell. You know, I'm always available. My cell is the best way to get in contact with me. It's 401-919-0381. And again, you know, there's a lot of different options that small businesses have right now and different types of solutions that can help them get through this tough time. You know, either if it's through the PPP loan, you know, or just saving in other facets of their business, right? ADP can help their business, you know, from hire to fire, that whole process of employee engagement, right? So I think it's just a conversation that every business owner should be having right now, you know, and if they're not, you know, it's too bad. So thanks again for your time, Kyle.
No problem, Jason. Thank you so much. And, you know, stay safe, stay out there, and keep grinding. All right.
Yeah, you as well,
Have a good
man.
day. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Yeah, take care, man. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye now.